You didn't have to change the truth. You just had to pick what parts of the story you were going to tell, right? So there's a whole beginning of the book where you get to see him as a young boy and see all of that. And then there's the actual story of what they went through. And then there's sort of later in life. And what was really interesting to us was the period of time that they were at the University of Washington and taking on sort of three different groups, taking on the seniors first and then taking on the rich.
They're all legacies. We're not. Not yet. Row for your country. Row for each other. Row for the moment. Put everything that's stacked against you in the back seat. And we're not likely to be back here again.
33-48.
Seven, square your blade before you drop it in.
When I first read the screenplay for Boys in the Boat, it just seemed to me to be a completely, perfectly laid out, winning and feel good, story, sports story. And, every now and then a story comes along that you feel like it's sort of, in terms of, like a story or a movie, is a little bit almost too good to be true.
One, two, three. In the water. And action.
Well, we meet Joe Rantz at 19 years old, and he's about to start university, which is a miracle to begin with because he's homeless. He lives in a car. He's been abandoned by his dad when he was 14. His mother died when he was 3. He's been fighting his whole life.
Give me 3 more big ones. Go. 3, 2, 1. Way knock and drop.
Don't forget to square your blade, 38. That's pretty good.
It was really important for us to get rowing right, because that's something that you haven't really seen in movies. It's funny, but it hasn't been seen where you can see them all in exact, in the perfect form, with the swing, as they call it. And it's hard to get actors to do that, right? You have to really train for it. So the first thing we did when we cast the actors was we said, if you're not athletic, then we're going to have to let you go.
All right, here we go. Rehearsal, please.
The Huskies with a burst. And look at this. The Washington boat has taken the lead. I don't remember when I've seen such a display of raw power.
Here they come. They're coming across the line. They won!
Well, Al Ulbrichsen is, he's the coach of the varsity and the junior varsity team. And in the context of our story, what is important is that Al was a champion rower himself, although that's not really brought too much into focus, but he understands the sport from the inside.
I'm doing good. Great full. American law.
You did so good today.
Huh?
I said you did so good today.
Thanks. It was fun.
What?
I said it was fun.
I saw Bruce get texted that.
Yeah. Down here too, and that was really good. Over on this other cameras, right here on the side too, is really good.
February the 1st was our first day of training for rowing, and we were awful, and none of us knew what we were doing. To the point where now we push ourselves and push each other to drive the rate up and to go as fast as we can. And we're all incredibly proud of each other. Jack and I actually are the ones that argue the most, because he sits in the 8, I'm in the 7, and the cock sits in front of him, and so we can't see anything, and we're trying to work out. He drives the boat, basically, the speed of the boat, and he's, we go at each other a lot.
8 on each side. Feet in stretchers. Lace them up. Let's take old Nero out.
Because it's mine. Not like a motor or anything, just all that time I spent in it, the work we all did together. That boat.
Luckily, we had a few photos. They're only prints this big to work from, and the architect's drawings. But we knew the basic measurements, and we didn't have premises long enough to build it in one piece. The shop we had was 45 feet long, and the 8 was 61 feet. So we built 5 seats, 5/8 of the boat on one stocks. And then next to that we had another stocks, which we built the other 3 seats on, and it all bolts together.
Most hate him because of the smell. I catch the scent of oil, whale oil, and immediately hear his voice telling me to keep putting it on until I can see my freckles in the reflection. That's how I'd know it was good and slick. So it would cut through the water like a knife blade. The better smell in the world than freshly milled sea.
It was the dock. It was the hull. The hull of the boat.
Where do you want to see? It's green going that way.
How's your first wind feel?
Great. Next one's gonna be even faster. Look.
You can't just say, okay, well, let's line up 8 boats across with 8 guys, 9 guys in each of them, and start the race, because there's a current, so the boats all start moving around, and they're not straight lines, and
our boats are moving.
And our boats are moving. If the wind blows, everything's moving around. You're constantly moving. But there is not one thing about shooting on the water that's fun.
Cut.
And then when he takes his hand and grabs the cup, that's all it is. Look kind of straight out of it. Just like sure. Because it's really fun. If you're looking that way, we're kind of lose into it.
I'm always impressed by actors that make films, and particularly actors that make good films, and that have a track record of making good. And George has made a handful of movies, you know, a good handful. And I was just curious, like, what it would be like being on set with him. And, you know, it makes sense, but he knows a set.
Go. There you go. Super you. You know, so it doesn't feel sort of like, no. I mean, you did it perfectly on this side.
You know why you're here?
My guess is you need someone to help you beat Cal.
Now listen to me. Kills me to say this, but I'm giving you a second chance.
Washington did it! Washington did it!
He's an incredible actor. He's one of the best, as far as I'm concerned. Someone that I look at him and I think the jobs that he does and the way he acts is how I want to do it. You know, it's really it's wonderful what he does, and he's just a beast. He's a pure beast, and he makes Ulbrichtson really human.
Okay, go out. Rehearsing and camera action. Go, guys.
Like I keep telling you, I got all the help I can. Why?
Well, you better get dressed.
It's easier than I thought. Thank you.
Joe, your dad gave up on you. He quit on you. All you know is quitting. But it seems to me you're not in.
We knew we would film on lakes and rivers, so we had to find the right tools. So we did a couple of weeks of testing where we put cranes on boats, jib arms, and we tested with drones, we tested with underwater cameras, and put together a package which we thought would be most suitable. And we tested 2 weeks and mounted cameras on boats. And what surprised me is that these boats are actually 60 feet long, but they're also quite fragile. So you have to be really careful with them.
Joe Rantz.
Joe, you ever crewed before?
Uh-huh.
Ro, you ever rowed before?
Some, I guess. How much does the jobs pay?
Pick up your gear. Name?
Roger Morris?
Roger.
proud of you, boys. All right, push on.
We had to build these boats, and they have to be seaworthy, good boats. They have to really work. And so there was tons of things that were complicated about it. Well, I mean, everything was authentic in terms of what the equipment these guys were using. They have these little wooden seats with these little plastic wheels. And so there was nothing state of the art for them that they could cheat and look better. Our kids were all wooden oars, wooden seats, everything was tricky.
You will be divided into groups and rotate through training stations. When you hear your number called, follow the coach. 1 through 16, you're with me.
Majority of you will walk away on your own within the next few weeks because your bodies will hurt, your minds will tire, and you'll decide that this dream, competing against the greatest crews in the world, is just not worth it.
Strong seat.
Nearing the half mark, the California boat still holding a 4-seat advantage with 1 mile to go.